Tim Lerch here. I was asked to talk about some of my favorite chords. I'm known as a chord guy, I guess. It's a little difficult and somewhat challenging actually for me to pinpoint a specific chord that's a favorite or not, because I tend to see chords as part of systems or part of families, and I think in a more fluid way perhaps than just thinking of one chord at a time happening for some duration. I tend to flow them together as part of systems, harmonized keys or harmonic substitutions of one kind or another. One of the things I really like to do, though, is use a good sounding voicing in a couple of different ways by moving it in parallel. And I think that's what we'll focus on today. Maybe the first and simplest one is in a minor 2-5. Let's say we're going to do a minor 2-5 in the key of C minor. If we use this voicing, that would be D minor 7 flat 5. But if I raise the top note up a whole step, right, that gives me a little bit of a colorful sound. I still have access to the other two notes that are on that string, so I can make a little passage. Okay, and that's still basically D minor 7 flat 5, D minor 11 flat 5, D minor 7 flat 5, and D minor 7 flat 5 natural 9 to here. Then the interesting thing is I can take that same voicing and that same movement and move it a minor third. Okay, now it's called something different. It's still the same shape, but in this case it's functioning as the 5 chord in a 2-5-1 in the key of C minor. So we would call it a G7 with a flat 9 and a sharp 5. All right, there's the flat 9. There's the G, that's the sharp 9 if I do all three of them, and then there's the sharp 5. And then, kind of magically, if I move it a major third, so I've moved it a minor third, and now I'm moving it a major third, same exact shape, I get a C minor major 7 type chord, or a C minor 6 with either a 9 or a major 7 in the melody. So let me play that for you. Now, one of the qualities that I like about these chords is that the root isn't always prominently displayed. Now, this one has the root in the bass. This one only has the root in the melody there. And then this one also has the root is disguised. It's in the melody there. But that voicing is very nice. So I played it in time. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that's a minor 2-5 in C minor using this same voicing for all three of the chords. And that's going to be the theme of this exercise. We're going to use a beautiful sounding chord that we discover one way or the other, and then we're going to use it in a couple of different capacities to make a cadence. 2-5-1 is an example of a cadence. So now we're going to use a slightly more difficult chord to grab. It's this one. Now, what I'm doing there is taking, I'm barring at the 10th fret for a D minor chord sound, D minor 7, but I'm using my little finger to grab the 9 up here on the D string. So it's the 14th fret of the D string. And I love this rub. I always like that very beautiful half-step kind of rub. So now I'm going to use this shape for 3 voicings. A 2, a 5 altered, and I'll tell you about what that is in a second, and then a C major 7, a 1 chord. I'm putting the root in for your benefit. It doesn't have to be there. Okay, so we have this. Okay. And now the next one is a beautiful sort of cinematic sounding chord progression using a voicing that I really love, which is this. Okay. The easiest way to conceive of this is to take a regular G minor 7th chord and raise the 5th degree there. Now, some people might call this G minor 7 flat 6, and I don't really think that's a perfectly good name. I would rather think of it as an E flat major 9 chord so you have a B flat triad up on top, and we have this the E flat here in the center. So I'm thinking of it as an E flat chord. Then I'm going to move it down to the 6th fret. Then I'm going to move it down to the 3rd fret. Then I'm going to play a 5 chord and then land on my G. So it's E flat, add 9 or sus2, however you want to call it. B, same voicing with B in the bass. Then the same voicing with A flat in the bass. And then a D7 sharp 9, just to give us a 5 sound, to enhance the 5 sound, and then resolve it to G. And there's a lot of things you can do with it. The melody qualities are just really beautiful here. We can play this. Okay. Or you can play. Just changing the order of the notes in the top part of the voicing. Okay. So that's a beautiful sound as well. Now this voicing is functioning as a major 9 type chord, major sus2 or add 9. It also, though, can function in many, many other ways. And a lot of times if you just use your creative ear and play melodically with this voicing, you can get a lot of very nice movement out of it. Okay, there's another variation on the same idea. Same voicing all the way down. Okay. The next voicing that I like is, I think of it as a diminished major 7 chord. And diminished chords are beautiful. They have a lot of different possible functions. And so this is one small slice of it. So let's say we have a 2-5-1 in the key of D. There's my 2 chord. Here's my 5 chord. Okay, now right in this position, that looks like it could be an A triad with a flat 9 in the bass. And then I add the 13. So that's pretty conventional, right? So in this particular case, it's a beautiful sound, but it's not terribly unconventional. It's an A triad with a B flat in the bass, or functioning as an A with a flatted 9. And then I'm adding the 13 there. But if we move this chord, the A with a flat 9, down 3 frets, a minor 3rd, now we can use this chord as our 5 chord. And now it looks a little bit more exotic. It looks like A7 with a flat 9 here, but it's got the flat 7th in it as well. And it's got a 13 on top. So this is a 13 flat 9 chord. So let's hear how that sounds. E minor, and then, okay, or some kind of pretty D major type chord. Similarly, we can move it up to here. So then, that would be E minor. And then C flat 9. Also, you can think of this as being some kind of A7 with a 13 and a flat 9. right there, and then D. Okay, and then we can move it again to there, right? And then we'll have this, E minor. All the same voicing. So we have this, we have this, we have this, and we have this. And then finally we get back up to where an octave higher. Okay, so that is a diminished major seventh chord. Why is it called diminished major seven? Because if we have a diminished chord here, and we spell it 1, flat 3, flat 5, double flat 7, we raise this top note a whole step and it becomes the natural 7. It also becomes a lot easier to play. And then we can get that note there if we want it. All right, that's another good strategy for fingering. So we can have... You can put them all together like that as well, all in a system. They all sort of speak the same sound of A7, 13, flat 9. Okay? That's a bit of a theme here today, this parallel movement, getting the most out of a single shape. Along the same lines, we're going to have another kind of chord, which is this sound. I'm going to show you what it is. It moves around a lot, so I'm just going to put it in this spot for now. And the way I think about it is there's a B-flat triad on top. There's an F-sharp note in the bottom. And then this finger flattens out and plays 2 notes at the same fret. Now this chord is a dominant 7th sound because we see that there's a tritone here in the bass. And anytime you see this tritone, these 2 notes that are 1 fret away from each other and over on 2 adjacent strings, that's inside voicing of a dominant 7th chord or a diminished chord or even a minor 7 flat 5 chord. But it mostly in this case it's going to be a dominant 7th chord. Now, if we see this bottom note as being the 3rd, we could think of this as a D7 chord. If we think of the bottom note as being a flat 7, we can think of it as an A flat chord. And the beautiful thing is you kind of don't have to worry about the name of it. Okay, now if we want to use this chord, there's a lot of things we can do. Because it is ambiguous and has a very strong melodic note, I can put it as a 5 chord and move it around. I can use it as a sort of movable 5 chord for the key of B flat. So I'm going to play a 2 chord. Then here's my movement. Okay, that's kind of a whole tone type of idea. And then a half step and then a resolve. Here's how it would sound in context. That's my 2 chord. Another variation would be okay, I've got a little bit more movement in it. Let's try one more. Now, if you want to, you can analyze these chords, and what you'll notice is that if you look at them, all of them in all of their places, they're either functioning as some kind of F7 chord, or it's a passing it's a passing sound from one F7 type chord to another F7 type chord. But ultimately, that even doesn't matter because of the effect of this parallel motion resolving to 1. The next one is, I think this is really important. Now, this breaks the rule a little bit, but this one is 2 chords that I'm going to talk about. One is a major triad and one is a minor triad. So if we have something in the key of D, we get a harmonized scale in the key of D, and we end up with these first inversion triads. We're just going to use the first two shapes, the major shape and the minor shape. Okay? Now, let's say we're playing a blues in A. And I play those two shapes. Okay, so they're just two triads. If I use them in a bluesy way, and I'm a little slippery with it, I can get very interesting parallel motion sounds using just a major triad and a minor triad. Now, these first inversion triads work particularly well because they put the root up on top and they have a pretty sound. But you can use any major or minor triad fingering in a similar way as long as you watch out what you're doing and watch out how the ranges are working and everything like that. This next one uses triads as well with an extra note to make it a dominant 13th chord. So this sound, or this one, same sound, different shape. Okay, I'm big on making sure I know how to play any good sounding chord in every single fingering that's necessary to play the same exact notes. Because of the tuning on the guitar, we need to do some work to understand how things move from one set to the next set. Turns out that if you have this shape, which is really a minor triad, right? With one extra note, which makes it look like a 13th chord. So it's similar to the other thing because it involves a minor triad. But what we're going to do is play a blues scale with this shape. Okay. So say I'm playing a blues in B flat. Here we go. Okay, and it works there particularly well. Works there too for the 4 chord. A little funny there, but anyway, that's using this parallel movement on a very simple chord, but it's got a great sound and it's very useful in this way. We can do the same type of movement, but with a different voicing. Okay, all of these things are based on the fact that the bluesy sounds really love chromaticism and they love parallelism, so we can get away with that. Okay, I really appreciate you watching this and enjoying the transcriptions and learning from them. And thank you very much to guitarplayer.com for inviting me to share some of this stuff with you.